My name is Balthus Priest, and I'm playing Un Dia de Noviembre, a day in November in commemoration of my grandfather.
Just imagine yourself standing at a distance watching somebody that you can't help being beaten or brutally raped, and you're standing there and you want to do something but you can't. You don't know the person, but you see them from afar. Maybe you're like on the 5th floor of a building looking down. As the perpetrator beats them, all of a sudden the individual is turned over and you see it's a loved one. It's someone you care about. Well, in my instance, the perpetrator was cancer, and the loved one was my father. I think a little bit over 10 years ago, he found out that he had prostate cancer. And they gave him medicine, Lupron, I think, and he was doing pretty well for 10 years. Well, in the summer, I think it was June or July, he had been having scans or whatnot done, and they said, well, we need you to come in because we think we see a spot on your spine. So when he came in, they asked him, was he feeling any pain? And he said no. And they said, okay, well then we're not going to do anything because he's not experiencing any pain right now. Because what the treatment was going to be, because of where this cancer was located on the front of his spine, that would mean they would have to do radiation through his stomach, which would not only affect his spine, but it would actually do harm to his stomach and intestines. So he didn't have any treatments done at that time. He wasn't feeling any pain. Well, in November, he started getting sick. Daddy never got sick, Okay, Daddy had never had any surgery in his life. He went to the doctor once he got sick, once he was upstairs, and I was like, what are you doing upstairs? You know, because he just never got sick. Well, his stomach was bothering him, he said, and he kept feeling worse and worse and worse, and so he finally decided that he needed to go to the hospital. Well, when he went, they found out that the problem was his appendix, and his appendix had ruptured. And so they had to do an emergency appendectomy. And so at that point, which was on November 19th when he had that surgery, that's when things started happening. There were complications. He had a kink in his stomach from the surgery and whatnot. They put a tube down and all these different things ended up occurring. Well, once he got out of the hospital, then he started having some pain in his spine, in his lower back. And that pain was what he had gone to the doctor for back in the summer. The cancer was starting to manifest itself in his spine. And so he then began radiation treatments. But over the past year, the cancer spread. And, but from him being the person that he was, even though on the outside, when we looked at him, he went from like 180 or 190 to 120, 130 in a really, really short period of time. Even though the man he was on the outside was wasting away, on the inside, my father was the most wonderful, sweet, kind, loving, supportive, dependable, loyal man that you could possibly meet. I'm very proud of my father and love him very, very much. And so I kept looking at him and I saw him going through those struggles. He didn't want a lot of pain medication. A lot of the friends would come and they say, oh, you need some pain medication. But the pain medication would put him to sleep. My daddy didn't like to sleep. My daddy wanted to be alert and awake and know what was going on so that he could handle his business, no matter what the situation was. And so, despite the fact that the cancer was ravaging his body, he did all he could in his service to Jehovah up until the end. And he went to the elder school, which I thought was pretty awesome. It was amazing. The elder school was held, I think, over a 3-week period for different elders. And so he went each one of those weeks. So he would go half a day some weeks, and in the morning and then in the afternoon. And so he had that wonderful privilege. And I know a sister was mentioning to me, Dorotha, was saying, well, you know, the society is making sure these brothers are trained so that they'll be ready in the new system to continue to take care of us. And she said, and Jehovah made sure your father got that training. And so I appreciate that. She's wonderful. She was actually with my father when he died, and I appreciate her for that. Well, another thing that he always was able to do was, up until near the end, when his strength was really going, was he was going to the meeting. You know, so on Sunday he would go to the meeting, and when we didn't get to go, he would listen in on the speakerphone. And so my husband and I, on November 19th, moved out temporarily to stay with my parents. And I tell you, it's been one of, any of you are ever in a situation you have an opportunity to be with your parents if they're sick, I encourage you to be right there. Because it was, I wouldn't have been anywhere else. And also, I was going to say one other thing that he did. Yeah. But anyway, though he is not with us now, I know that he would have enjoyed knowing that all of you friends really care about him so much and are so supportive. And I really, really appreciate that. In the end, Daddy's blood count got really low. His blood count was like 3-1, and his heart could not keep pumping, you know, at such a fast rate to sustain his life. And so